Hello, hello. We're going to do another episode of Emily in Madrid. Starting off with my number one most favorite souvenir that I got from Spain. I think I already talked about it before in a previous video. I think. I'm pretty sure I did, but I'm going to show it off again because I think it's really cool. Isabel got me this. She said all Spanish ladies ought to carry a fan, and I just really loved it. It's so well made, so intricately hand painted with all of these elaborate cutouts forming a little field of roses, and I gotta say it's pretty addictive. Carrying a fan, fanning yourself when it gets hot, keeping the sweat off you. I understand now. Beautiful cultural innovation. So here we are at the Airbnb. I'm taking a picture of my new fan. I'm checking the weather, and I'm bracing myself for a nice 38, 39, 41. But you know, it is what it is. I was there, I was ready, I was covered in suntan lotion. I was gonna give it my best shot. So we started off by getting some groceries. Now that the whole party was together, we went to the big grocery store that I had been to before. And this is not at that store. This was, look, it's, this is a great picture. What the heck? This looks so cool. What is this though? This was just a general like checkup machine that was in this pharmacy. I think it can assess all sorts of different stuff for you. This is like for kids to see the height of the kid or something. I don't know. A mysterious machine. This is at the supermarket. What am I looking at here? A peanut roll. Ooh. Well, it looks good. Why didn't I eat that? Why did I just take a picture of it? I should have tried to eat it. We got some mochi ice cream. I'd never seen pistachio flavored mochi ice before. It was delicious. It was definitely a flavor they should be working into North America or at least Japanese mochi lineups. But the fact that mochi ice has become like so international is so great to me. I just love them. Every flavor is like good in its own way. Pistachio kicks ass. Egg and spoon. This is just weird. I guess that's why I took a picture of it. It comes with a little spoon. It comes in this fake egg carton. It's got all this weird stuff going on. Okay. It is what it is. Here we got some egg tarts. These are like a Portuguese egg tart. They broil it a little bit so it gets a little like caramelized on the top. One of the greatest foods ever made, for sure. I could eat these every day of my life. They're addictive, they're sweet, they're savory, they're flaky, they're crispy, they're soft. It's just everything in a food. It's just all the best parts of all sorts of food made into one. Beautiful. We got some croissants and stuff too. There's a little bakery section. This I thought was... I must have thought it was interesting. Oh, yeah. This is like a non-alcoholic, very cheap pseudo-champagne. I think it's just for the fun of popping bottles. And you know what? That's actually not a bad idea at all. It is fun to pop bottles. Sometimes you just want the magic of that without needing to get drunk. I used the fresh orange juice machine now that I was with some more experienced people. I felt more assured that I wasn't going to suddenly cause everything to break and explode in some horrible Willy Wonka-esque orange juice eruption. So I got some nice zumo de naranja. I called this zumo de naranja at a restaurant, and everyone kind of gave me a dirty look. But man, this was good. Just straight out of the orange, nothing added, nothing taken away, besides the skin and the pulp and stuff. Just delicious, beautiful. Drink it within 40 or 24 hours. I can't praise it enough. And it's not just the fact that it's freshly squeezed. It's not just the fact that it's freshly squeezed in the store and it's cheap. It's the oranges themselves too. The Spanish oranges are so delicious. And they're, you know, probably picked like just miles from here. Oh man. Oh, I wish I could get it. I wish I could drink it right now. This is gonna be some similar cravings coming up. Here it is. My God. And behind, we got some baguettes, which we were going to use to make the greatest sandwich of all time. All right. May not look too fancy. It may not look show-stopping. But let me tell you, my mouth is literally watering right now. I didn't think I was that hungry, but hunger pangs are striking me right now. What do we got here? Just a little bit of crushed tomato, unseasoned, just fresh tomato paste. Well, not even tomato paste. Tomato paste has like additives and stuff. Just literally just crushed up tomato. You spread that. And get a little olive oil on both sides. We chop up this cheese. I'm sorry, I can't remember the type of cheese we used, but it was a Spanish cheese that was very tasty on its own as well. And then the star of the show, nestled in amongst everything else, is this ham. And you look at this ham and you think, ooh, it's like really marbled. It's really fatty. And then the red parts, they're like really red. It has this beautiful contrast. Here, I think I took a picture of just a piece of the ham. Sliced thinly, almost translucent, but so flavorful you want to cry. So, I've been hyping up this ham a lot. Let me give you the spiel. This is a special type of pig to begin with, called the Iberian, oh boy. Iberian ham, yeah. The Iberian pig is an all-black pig with black hooves, which is how they can tell it's in the leg of this pig, as you can see the black hoof, that lives only in particular forests around Spain, and can only be crossbred some amount in its entire lineage to still qualify as an Iberian ham, an Iberian pig. This is a tradition in Spain going back hundreds of years, keeping the lineage of this pig alive. And what really escalates it to the next tier, you can get various types of Iberian ham and stuff, but the super primo stuff all comes down to how many acorns the pig gets to eat. Is it allowed to forage freely in the forest for all, that's a very alliterative sentence, for all of its meals, eating acorns that are fallen off the trees, and how much of that is supplemented by grain. So the super, super premium, highest quality one, which is what's pictured here, is a pig that has eaten only acorns, has known only acorns its entire life, and used that rich, fatty, nutty texture of the acorn to produce some of the tastiest meat of any animal I've ever had. I'm getting like emotional thinking about how good it is. Just the amount of love and effort and passion put into keeping this tradition alive. It's amazing how cheap it is. I think a whole package of this ham, which was enough to make the four of us multiple sandwiches each, and have a little bit left over for just snacking on its own, was only something like 15 or 20 euros, which is kind of crazy for such a gourmet good. And this is the privilege of being in Spain. If you got this stuff in North America, or I think pretty much anywhere else, they levy huge importing fees and taxations and stuff, because basically they can only produce so much of it, and they want to fully feed and reward the domestic market first. You know, it's like a Spanish tradition. They want to keep it affordable and everywhere and enjoyable in Spain, and then overseas it gets to become, you know, an absolute luxury that you pay premium for. And I'm gonna do it though. If I see it, if I go to Pusateri's or Italy or something, and they'd have a package of Iberian ham, I don't even care if it had some non-acorn wheat at some point. Probably gonna buy it. Just looking at this, it's so good. It's like rich and yet not like overwhelmingly flavorful. It has this kind of like subtle, like nutty flavor. It just, and it's like so substantial and chewy. It was so good. It was so good. I was just eating this and thinking like, this is the best sandwich I've had in my entire life. And you might be like, oh, isn't that kind of hard to define because there's so many types of sandwiches, and some of them it's all about the, how can you really compare this to like the Montreal smoked meat sandwich where it's stacked up like 3 inches high? on just like this wonderful, man, I'm just hungry. But like, how can you compare those two things? And it's like, that's fair, but this is just the best. It's just so good. Oh man, this ham. This is how I know in the end I'm just a food motivated, food driven person. That I can look at this and just be like, I gotta go back. I can see all the beautiful things. I can see all the cultural things. I can see so many traditions that I can take part in, and places I can go, and experiences. And it's like, that's all great, but it's when I see the food that I'm like, I gotta go back. All right, let's move on. This is getting ridiculous. It was so good though. All right, so next I think we go to Pride, like the big Pride parade itself. So here we are getting on the subway, hustle, hustle, bustle, bustle. Yeah, this was Pride. This is a building of sorts. Maybe this was like a municipal hall or something. I can't remember. But you can tell already the streets are just getting saturated with people to prepare for the parade. There's people even up here, and I was like, how do I get to become one of these people? At every event like this, I always see people in like privileged positions. They're leaning over balconies, they've gone up somewhere high. They just look like chill and relaxed, and they can stay put. And I'm like, how do I get to be that person? I'm never that person. I'm always the person scrambling around, trying to figure out a good spot to stand, kind of getting pushed and pulled and whatever. Anyways, you can see the sea of people approaching, comicat levels of people, crowds unmatched almost anywhere in the world. Here's another shot again. The sea of people goes to the horizon of the photo. And you know, it's great. Like, we talk a lot about, I don't know why I said we. I meant like discourse in general. There's a lot of discourse around the commercialization of Pride. And is Pride now kind of just like an empty gesture? Like, does it really mean all that much? And in Toronto Pride, which I also went to, there were like a lot of like corporate floats. There were like a lot of big mega corporations that who knows how they actually treat LGBT people, that are just like, well, this is what we have to do. This is like the bare minimum of PR. But here, I don't know, maybe this is just like an obnoxious tourist thing to say, but it felt different. It felt way more homegrown. It felt way more communal. And it felt not so much like people were showing up because it felt correct to go to Pride, because, it's the right thing to do to show your support, but that rather the existence of LGBTQ people, the existence of non-cishet things was just taken for granted. It's just the most natural thing in the world. And instead, this is just a great opportunity to get out there and to celebrate. That it didn't have this undercurrent of, this is morally correct. There was no feeling of, I don't know. I'm not trying to get too down on Toronto Pride. Toronto Pride has a lot of that element too, of just celebrating openness and inclusiveness and community. It has a lot of that too, but like, I don't know. I just had a sense of like, way more people were here just because it's like a good party. And not because they felt like going or not going said anything about them as a person, as a good or bad person. The fact that they embraced stuff like this was just taken for granted. And now it was just time to celebrate on top of that. I don't know if I'm making any sense. I hope I don't come across as like offensive or belittling or anything. But I just remember Isabel made some joke at some point where she's like, well, you gotta remember, this isn't America. Like, there's nothing wrong with being gay here. Like, there's no, and maybe it's an exaggeration to say there's no, but compared to America, there's no like huge hateful undercurrent of people, which sometimes surges into the mainstream, of people that just are intolerant and homophobic and transphobic and stuff. It just really felt like the base level of acceptance was way higher. Anyways, so we kind of wandered about the parade area. We were looking for a good place to stand and watch. This was, I think, the Royal Palace Gardens again. A really beautiful gate and fence. Big, beautiful trees. This was a nice building too, of some sort. Nice little backhoe in front of it. Again, just endless people. People. Everywhere you look. Beautiful. More and more seas of people. This is a video, I guess. This guy looks like Julian. That's not Julian. Yeah, just a quick shot. Also giving you a good sense of what it's like for me to be in a crowd. It's a very different experience than most people have. But, I'm holding the camera up a little bit, but this is roughly my eye level when I'm in a crowd. And that's why crowds never bother me. Just endless. So here we're really in the thick of it. And the parade route, it's very hard to distinguish where the crowd begins, or the crowd begins and the parade ends, or vice versa, or whatever. You can start to see some signs appearing. I think the traffic is coming through. And there's basically two main phases, my understanding. First, there's kind of like a more protest march, where more like activist groups and stuff will come through. And that's kind of where it's like very loose. It's just sort of groups of people with signs and stuff. And then later there's like big floats, which is kind of like the parade proper, I guess. So you can see there's like some flags and stuff kind of marching through. There's like a group of people here marching through, but there's no like barriers. There's no police presence blocking you or whatever. So there really is a sense that like anyone can kind of start walking, anyone can hop off and join the crowd, which was kind of neat. This real free-flowing spirit. This painting, or this picture almost has the energy of a Renaissance painting in my mind. But like a Renaissance painting that has been internally duplicated like 100 times over, and like just each little area is kind of like the subject matter of like a Renaissance character study, but instead it's just like over and over again. Here's more. Yeah, here you can see a group that's marching. I think here I was kind of strategically trying to reach up and take pictures so that I could see what was happening. These people had a drum, a little drum band. That was good. Again, just trying to get a sense of what's coming down the pipe. This person happened to be making a very good face towards my camera. Good. I don't know. I was taking a lot of pictures. There's like a lot to see, but at the same time, not really all that much to see. We can just kind of look for people making funny faces. Sea of people. Comiquette levels of people. Endless in pretty much all directions. More and more and more. And more and more and more. What's this person taking a picture of? Oh, same thing as me, basically. Well, what do you know? This was another one where I was like trying to read the banner by kind of reaching up and taking a picture. I was trying to report to my friends who are shorter than me what was going on. But often I was like, it's yellow flags. It's yellow. Which one is that? No. It says something. I can't pronounce this. So I wasn't a very helpful reporter. What's going on here? LGBTI poll. Interesting. These big balloon sticks I thought were cool. I saw them coming from a long ways away. And basically, we got there kind of timing it so that we would see all the floats and stuff, we thought. But I think it was like running late. Everything was kind of behind schedule. So at a certain point, we were like, we're hungry. We can probably have time to go eat and come back and see the actual floats and stuff. So we did that probably shortly after this. And lots of more crowd shots. I don't know what I was taking a picture of so intently here. I took like 3 shots back to back. And all you can do is see this shirtless guy turn around. But what was I trying to take a picture of? I don't even know. Here's that same building we saw. No, it's a different building. Here's a different building than we saw before. But you can see everybody up everywhere, climbing up on everything. So eager to just be out there. Just so eager to be out and among that they'll go to these lengths. Here's a sign that says, "Gay okay." It sure is. Yeah, a lot of good stuff. This fountain I thought was nice. Again, just kind of neat. This history that is still amongst us. Even when it's surrounded by people, it still has kind of a weight to it, a gravity to it. It makes you stop and think. This is interesting. So these people are peeing. This entire row of bushes was just like a bathroom. And as we walked down, we just continually saw people pop into the bushes and do their business and pop back out. And it was very awkward because you're kind of just glancing around, and sometimes you would make eye contact briefly with someone who's urinating, which is never pleasant. And then we actually came back here the next day. I probably took a picture of that later, but it reeked of pee. Just walking down the street, it just reeked of urine. And I was like, wow, a lot of people peed in these bushes. I wasn't even trying to take a picture of that. I was just trying to take a picture of this nice, kind of tree tunnel and the nice bushes and stuff. But that's definitely what all these people are doing. I think, well, maybe not these people. These people are just like chatting or something. But there's a lot of people in here that are peeing. But you know what they say? Once you fly over the Atlantic, you're a peeing. This fountain is very nice too. One of those like kind of multi-tier ones. You got the Medusa head maybe. Just look at all these people though. Here we played a fun game of, is it to support Ukraine? Is it IKEA? Is it just blue and yellow? But this is the first of the big floats we saw. It's a big like inflated one. Pretty neat. But you can see we walked basically in the direction the parade was coming from for a long, long ways. And this was the only one that was kind of like prepped and ready to go as far as I could tell. So we were like, okay, the parade isn't going to actually start for a long time. Here we are. I think we headed to like a Starbucks or something over here. Yeah. We went to the Starbucks. Got some drinks because it was very hot. The sun started going down with all of its mercy. Here we are heading to the Spucks. This I thought was interesting. Ever dream this man? Me neither. Just a little purposeless propaganda question mark. Really beautiful shots as the sun was going down. Just that golden hour photography. Not bad, not bad. Again, just these beautiful buildings. Everywhere you look. Big palm trees out in front of Starbucks. Big hotel here. Another nice fountain. This one we got like Poseidon. Doing Poseidon stuff, I'm pretty sure. I'm going to mention this now because maybe I'll forget to mention it later. But this trip finally clued me into something that I think should have been a big question in my mind for a very, very long time. But for some reason, it had never occurred to me to think about this until now. And I asked Isabel about this. She's very learned about such stuff. I was like, okay, Spanish people, especially the nobility, especially the people with money, hundreds of years ago, were Catholic. They were like hardcore Catholic, right? They were so hardcore Catholic that they went around surprising people that weren't as Catholic as them and doing terrible things. Why is it that these same folk, the same class, was making all of these sculptures and paintings and big prominent works of art featuring Greek and Roman gods, featuring Greek and Roman myths, featuring things that I would have thought would be totally sacrilege, basically pagan, basically a sin to even consider these gods in your heart, to have any gods before God. And she was like, And she was like, you know, yeah, sure, they may be kind of side to side with a Christian allegorical painting, or a statue of Christ, or something like that, or a statue of a king who is Catholic, but they didn't really think of them in the same way as all at all. That these guys, it's just like a story. It's just like fun. It's pure fiction for them. It's just like a character that they like. And maybe, you know, there's still like a moral groundwork to it. Maybe there's not. Maybe they just think it's fucking cool. Which kind of, I don't know, it kind of blew my mind. Like, it actually made society of that time feel a lot more relatable to me, in the way that, you know, I have like anime merch and stuff. and even though the anime merch would probably co-occupy spaces with my sincere beliefs, if I had any, it suddenly made a lot more sense that they'd be like, yeah, dude, Poseidon, that guy rules. He was king of the sea. He had these like water horses. Bruh, I have this vision for a big Poseidon statue in this square. It's gonna look tight. And that's kind of what it was to them. And I don't know, it blew my mind that it never struck me as weird before this trip. But I was happy to discuss this and kind of get a better perspective on it. Hopefully I'm not too misrepresenting. I'm just kind of remembering what Isabel told me. But that's kind of the takeaway I had, was it's just cool. They just thought these were cool characters, like Spider-Man or Luffy. Here's the sun setting over some buildings. Beautiful hilly street. Here we are back at Pride. It seems like brighter. Are these pictures in the wrong order? No, I guess we went back after we got Starbucks in like a different spot. Still trying to figure out, okay, when is this parade actually starting? What are we going to see? Where are we going to see it from? A video, it looks like. Just trying to get some ambient cultural temperature. I can't hear the audio. I'm too lazy to grab my headphones, but hopefully someone is saying something interesting. Here's another really lovely building. The Greco-Roman colonnades. I kind of like it when these buildings have like a main sort of thing, you know, and then on top it's almost like a temple. It's a little secret. Right down the street from me is the Manulife building headquarters. This is a insurance company. The head office looks like this. And every time I look up at it and I think, what's going on in here? Right? And Gleb, actually, when walking past it, made a joke about it. Looks like these textures are too far away and they haven't loaded in yet. Because it is weirdly like flat and minimal compared to everything else, right? And it's like way up at the top of this building. And it's like, what's going on in there? What's going on in there? I just don't get it. And then the same thing with this. What's going on up there? When do they decide, oh, for this meeting, let's go up into this building. This little bonus building on the roof. Okay. This was the Opera House. Opera House. I didn't say Opera House. Opera House. Remember before I was like, yo, that Iggy Pop poster. We saw the lineup with Iggy Pop on it. Here it is. And a lovely statue of Isabel II. Very good, very good. Another shot. I like this guy's Tony the Tiger shirt. Just thought this was kind of cool intersection. There's a lot of things like this where there's kind of like a big roundabout and 2 or 3 main streets hit it, and then a lot of like these little winding side streets branch off from there too. Just very cool architectural layout. Very, I'm gonna say the word immersive, which makes no sense, but I can't think of any other word right now. Here we are heading up Plaza de Isabel II. Makes sense, her statue's here as well. And we're on our way to another restaurant. Got a better shot of it there. Terrifying Head. This is the Mexican restaurant that we went to. They had an amazing selection of liquor all across these bottles. I like this kind of apple decor too. The whole decor of this place was just really interesting and weird. A lot of like surrealist art and stuff. Here's another cabinet of just tequila, it looks like. Yeah, paintings like this were everywhere. And I don't know, it was like unnerving but kind of cozy too. Like it had more of a sense of like eclecticness, like an aunt that just seeks out weird things than anything really sinister. And it felt the more eclectic it was and the more meticulously positioned and stuff it was, there was no ominousness. Ominousness? It just felt endearing. Endearing? But yeah, just kind of strange paintings. This one kind of reminds me of At the Gates of Eternity by Van Gogh. This one, for some reason, just the positioning in the chair. I guess it's not that similar. Anyways. They had a little avocado growing at the table. I thought that was very cute. You can start growing an avocado plant like very quickly, and it like looks cool and it grows really fast. But then it takes like 20 years to reach maturity and actually produce avocados. And at that point, it takes up like an unreasonable amount of space, but it's still cool. This is a cocktail I got. It was a passion fruit margarita. That's right. And it was phenomenal. It was really, really delicious. And then the tacos. This is some guacamole. I'm not sure what's on top of it, but it was very, very good guacamole. And tacos. Whew. Man, these tacos were good. This one I think was pork cheek. It was some pork dish that got me really excited. I don't think I would have just ordered plain pork carnitas, but something about this pork was A, extremely tasty, and B, made me hyped enough to order it. And then me and Julian split another order of tacos. God, what was this one? It was so good. It was so good, and it was served in such a weird way. It was almost like on a taco bao, like a tortilla bao. It was like more kind of like fluffy and cushiony than just a thin shell. It had this like pickled red onion, the sauce, this meat, question mark, unsure what type of meat it is, but oh man, this was good. This was a phenomenal meal. Here, I tried to get like the texture of it, the depth of this bottom layer and stuff, but I still don't know what it is. Just that it was very tasty. Here I am in the bathroom. I just thought the decor of the bathroom was good, and I thought my outfit nicely matched in some way. So I was like, yeah, selfie. This was down near the bathroom, just another cabinet full of, I think, mostly tequila and stuff. No, this can't all be tequila. Some of this isn't tequila. Maybe agave, that's in tequila. Maybe it is all tequila. I don't know. But again, just the decor, like these freaky faces, this weird gun thing. You love it. You love it. This was after the restaurant. So what ended up happening, we went to get food, and we're like, we'll go back and check on the parade after the food. And then it must have been like minutes after we left, everybody just got in gear, and the parade suddenly took off at a rocket pace, maybe just making up for lost time. And all the floats went through and we missed them all. So instead, we just kind of hit the town again. This was a liquor store, variety type store that we passed. Everywhere sells liquor here. It's not like barbaric Canada with its LCBO regulations and stuff. Here, you can buy yourself a bottle of black absinthe that is 89.9% alcohol for the low, low price of 14.50 euros, which is probably less than $20 Canadian. And this is enough alcohol to just die, I think. That if you just downed it, that would be it. Very unnerving, especially since it has a skull on it. Needless to say, we did not buy the absinthe, but we did go out drinking again. Here we are at the same Opera Plaza, but at night. Cool. Oh yeah, so we took a little walk around the front of the Royal Palace, which is like the other side of those gardens that I was wandering around in a couple episodes ago. Big statue here. I'm a few drinks in, so these pictures are gonna get blurry. This is a better one. A beautiful, beautiful statue. I cannot remember who this guy is. But basically, Isabel was telling us the plan was to build these statues of the entire lineage of kings and queens of Spain and then put them on these pedestals atop the royal palace. And there are a few up there, but then they had some insane streak of bad luck where they were like falling off or like lightning hit one or something. I don't remember the details, but it made them so paranoid, so superstitious that they were like, okay, forget it. We're going to put the rest of these statues, like this one, just down and around the park. Which I think is nicer anyways, because then you can like read them, you can look at them up close. And Isabel, who has actually a degree in Spanish medieval history, knew the score on all these guys. Either that, or she is just the most creative person I ever met and was just improvising royal biographies at the drop of a hat. But yeah, very dramatic country. A lot of, oh, this guy actually killed this guy. This guy was in exile after this guy came along and then came back and killed him and his brother. They didn't necessarily get along with each other or themselves or anyone. But here you can see the whole bloody history. There was also something else about, like, they were all originally going to be carrying swords. And then at some point they were, like, pacified, basically. Now I can't remember. I don't know. I learned, oh goodness. I learned a lot that night, but I also drank a lot that night. And the two did their best to cancel each other out. But yeah, really cool to see all these statues. They were sculpted in a way that I thought was still kind of reflective of the fact that they were originally going to go way up on the palace facades and you wouldn't see them. Excuse me, up close. So it kind of felt like everything was a little exaggerated. All the posing was exaggerated. The hands were like disproportionately large. The faces were very exaggerated and given like real prominent poses. So it was neat. It was a neat kind of to see that like up close. Also, everybody had these shields with faces on them. And sometimes Isabel would be like, yeah, that face on that shield was that guy over there. It's all complicated and interwoven. Here we have a queen. This may have been the first queen. That might have been why I took a picture of her. Pretty cool. This guy crushing the head of some other king, I'm pretty sure. Good job holding what appears to be a basketball and saying, who's next? I got hoops for days. There is his decapitated head. Very lovely. Great picture. And here is kind of a wide shot of the gardens. You can see the palace here. These just lovely winding paths in and around the front of the gardens. This was a kind of separate area with a big statue. Oh, you know, inscribed perhaps, indicating for Major Spain. That's this person's name perhaps. This monument for the glory of the soldiers. Louis Noval is maybe someone's name. Alright, let's give up. Really amazing work, though. Look at the sculpting of this cloth and the way it kind of flutters, this flag or whatever it is. Very impressive. Really showing off that technique in a lot of spots, actually. the loose fabric sculpting. Definitely a showstopper. Here's a nice blurry picture. It's like... It feels like almost vague, this idea of like, oh, you can tell when I start drinking because the pictures get all blurry. But I'm just looking at it. There's no denying it. When was this taken? 11 p.m. All right, you know, we're getting warmed up. There was a Jollibee, and I got super pumped. Not that I was hungry. We just had tacos, but Jollibee sells this pineapple juice, which is like the nectar of the gods. And I'm hyping Julian up about it. We saw the logo from a distance, and I'm like, yeah, dude, we're gonna run in and get the pineapple juice. It fucking slaps. We get there, on the menu, they got Chicken Joy. Chicken Joy's delicious, but no pineapple juice. No pineapple juice to speak of. What's the deal with that? So that was no good. This is the big plaza that we kind of kept winding up in after our adventures and at the start of new adventures, at the start of much more misguided adventures. This neon sign I really, really liked. Here's a nice shot. Oh, this is of the Hermes store. I didn't really do any luxury shopping. Often when I travel to big cities, I like to check out their top-of-the-line, most luxurious department stores. Just because they're always such, like, pristine, immaculate places. They're basically like art galleries. I'm not going to buy anything. And each one is, like, very different. From country to country, the sort of things they highlight, the sort of experience that they're trying to give people, actually varies quite a bit. And because it is so deliberate and stuff, just contrasting place to place is really, really interesting for me. But I didn't get a chance this time, which is fine. I did more interesting things than that even. But here I thought was a nice shot of the Hermes store. This was a cool building on top of the Hermes store. Just this really intricate kind of clock tower. Another beautiful building. Some sort of party happening here. Party happening up here. Where's my invitation to all these parties? I don't even know. Must have got lost in the mail. Nice. Big movie theater showing the Thor movie. Cultural homogenization, cultural globalization. They play the hits everywhere. I guess that's been true since like the 70s, but you know. It's just, I don't know. It's something that's kind of just like, huh. You end up seeing big billboards for the same movies you'd see big billboards for at home. It just kind of feels flat. It's my anti-Marvel, anti-Disney thing that's triggering this right now, but you know, I think there's something to that sentiment. Really beautiful buildings here. I was talking to Julian about how there's a lot of architecture in New York that looks like this, and how it's kind of unclear whether, because these are like quite modern. They seem like kind of new buildings built in like a classical style. So it's kind of like, you know, ideas kind of bouncing back and forth between the new world and the old world, and then looking back at the old world for inspiration for these like column styles and I don't know, the kind of like pseudo marble look and stuff. I don't know. It was an interesting conversation. I don't remember much of it now. And then, so I think we actually went here the first night too after the casino, but we were already very in the pit of alcohol. And I didn't fully appreciate it, and I didn't quite remember it, and we certainly didn't take a picture of it or remember where it was. But right down the street from the casino, open 24 hours, is this little place called Oink, which serves the Iberico ham, the top-of-the-line Iberico ham. And in fact, back here is this whole infographic about, oh, if it eats this percentage of acorns, it's this type. If it's crossbred like this, it's that type. And you can see these sandwiches, much like the sandwich we made at home, sitting in the window for this line of probably all drunken people to feast upon. And when we found this place again, we wept with joy because we knew we had made it to the promised land. And then, of course, we went to the casino. So before Gleb and Isabel, we couldn't convince them to come in. This time, a little earlier in the evening, we're like, come on, check it out. They got these great cocktails, and they're crazy cheap. It's like such a deal. You know, they're exploiting gamblers, but it's such a deal. So we gamble a bit. They give you €2 in credit the first time you show up, which was like our ulterior motive, because me and Julian burned through our free credit like nothing. But we actually did kind of well here. You can see Gleb is up to €450 after his initial €2 bet. So it took a little while longer than before to waste all of the money. And then we went to the bar. And here's the punchline from the last episode. I'm sure you all saw this coming. Isabel looked at the prices and said, "Why would you drink here? It's so expensive." And we were humbled, once again, to remember that alcohol in North America is outrageously expensive compared to the rest of the world. And maybe that's for the best. Maybe that leads to a lot happier people in the long run. But it sure blows your standards out of proportion when you realize that paying $15 for a cocktail just because you're in some classy place downtown is still insane when you think about the actual amount of alcohol contained in it and the raw cost of the materials. And that the Spanish method of charging, I don't know, €5 for a drink like this is actually much more in line with reality. And so we had basically just been spending Toronto or New York type of money on cocktails in Spain, where we should be spending Spanish type of money. But I'll say it, they were good cocktails. It was fun to sit at the casino bar. Our bartender could barely tolerate us. The other thing too is that in Europe and pretty much everywhere besides North America, you don't tip. There's just no tipping culture, which is great because tipping is stupid. And it puts all of this tyrannical power in the mind of the customer, where they can just arbitrarily deny someone their living wage, essentially, because servers get paid so ludicrously under minimum wage, which in turn is under a living wage, to withhold the tip, for any reason they may so choose. So it's so much better to actually pay your waiters more, charge more, and not expect a tip. But we felt like the bartender at this casino was like so exasperated with us, because we had no idea what anything was. We kept asking what things meant. We kept ordering these elaborate cocktails at like 2 a.m. And he was back this shift, and I was like, I kind of wish I could just like tip this guy. Just like financially apologize. That's an option. In North America, I feel like I always have, that if I ever feel like I've been unreasonable or like asked for too much or had been annoying for whatever reason, I just leave a big tip. And I'm like, maybe that doesn't actually absolve me of anything, but it's at least something I can do. And here, even that was cut off to me. But whatever, I got this lovely cocktail. I guess I paid too much for it. We got these something little croquettes, I guess. Maybe we paid too much for them, who knows. But they're beautiful drinks, well-made cocktails. I don't know. In the end, it's like you can be sensitive to all of these pricing dynamics and stuff. Or you can kind of just think about it in terms of like, what is this worth to me? What percentage of my bank account will I spend to have this experience? And no matter where I drink, it's a pretty minuscule percentage of my bank account that gets expended on something like this. So I don't feel that bad about it. Maybe this is just cope. Maybe this is just me coping with the fact that I had no idea how to judge the price of a drink in Spain, but I had fun, and they were good drinks. Here's another good drink I got. Here was, so we were like, they got a dry martini on here. That's what Bond drinks. Let's get that. Let's get what Bond drinks. Dry martini. Shaken, not stirred. Whatever. I think shaken is actually the easier way to drink it because it gets more watered down that way. Because a dry martini is pretty much just straight gin. And I was just being given this glass of like straight gin that's even more bitter than normal gin because it has vermouth, not sweet vermouth, I think, and then like a lime rind in it. And it was like the hardest thing I've ever drank. It was so difficult. Like I could drink straight gin more easily than this. And it's just like, man, how does Bond do it? And after that, I was like wasted. And I was like, how does Bond do half the stuff he's doing in this movie after drinking even a third of one of these? It's absurd. That dude is an alcoholic. So anyways, we left. Let's find out when. Oh, only 2:16. That's not so bad. I thought it was later. Here's the crowd again, and here is our beloved Oink. Back to the sandwich shop again. Here's the... I actually took a pretty clear picture of this. Bravo, drunk me. So it's like the pig can be some percentage of Iberian pig, and then its feed can be some percentage between acorn and fodder, and then based on these things, if it's 100% acorn fed and it's 100% Iberian, it's the black label, and then it goes down from there. So we were always getting the black label because it's just so good. Now, if I was blind taste testing between the black and the green, maybe I couldn't tell. But you got to embrace these opportunities for the positive placebo, for the excitement of eating, which you know is like the delicacy of delicacies. And it's only shmoney. It wasn't even that expensive. I think sandwiches of the black pork ham, were like €4. Insane. It's very, very reasonably priced there. Here's my action shot of eating the sandwich. Oh my god, these sandwiches are so good. I want one so badly now. So this time we decided to just walk back to the Airbnb, and we had a lovely walk and chat and stroll. Great blurry pictures of this bridge. And this, I can only presume, is tomorrow, and this episode is really long anyways, so we'll call it quits there. Please join me next time. There's going to be, I think, probably like 3 or 4 more episodes, so stay tuned. Bye-bye.